All right, let's get into it. Today, we are tackling a huge topic, home ownership. For so many people, it's the ultimate goal, right? It's that cornerstone of building wealth and just feeling stable. But what does it really mean to own, grow, and protect that dream? Let's dive in. You hear that phrase, the American dream, thrown around all the time when we talk about houses. But getting the keys is just the very beginning. Ownership is way more than that. It's about the legal fine print, the financial side of things, and all the responsibility that comes along with it. So let's walk through that buyer's journey and figure out what it all really means. First things first, let's talk about the dream itself. Because before you even start thinking about money and mortgages, you gotta understand the different ways you can actually own a property. And trust me, how you own it changes everything. Your rights, what you're on the hook for, and even how you get along with your neighbors.
So this is a question you have to ask yourself. What kind of homeowner do you see yourself as? Are you someone who wants total control over your own patch of land, or are you cool with sharing a wall? Is owning your specific unit the most important thing, or would you rather own a piece of a bigger corporation? Let's break down what these options actually look like.
Okay, this table really shows you how much the word ownership can change. With a single-family home or a townhome, it's pretty straightforward. You get a deed, you own the dirt and the building. Simple. But then you slide over to a condo and things get weird. You're not owning land, you're owning the airspace inside your four walls. And then there's the co-op, which is a total curveball. You're not actually buying real estate at all. You're buying stock in a corporation, and that stock gives you a proprietary lease to live there. So the question this chart is really asking is, do you want to own land, airspace, or stock? So you've picked your dream home. Now for the really exciting part, turning that home into an investment. Because a home is so much more than a place to live. It could be an incredibly powerful financial engine. And figuring out how to use it is absolutely key to building some serious long-term wealth. And the magic word here, the one you're going to hear over and over, is equity. Put simply, it's the slice of your home that you actually own, free and clear of the bank. Think of it like this. Take what your house is worth today and subtract what you still owe on the mortgage. That difference, that's your equity. When you first buy, it's pretty much just your down payment. But over time, that number can grow like crazy.
So how does that happen? Well, your equity grows with this amazing 1-2 punch. The first punch is amortization. Every single time you make a mortgage payment, you're chipping away at that loan. You're paying the bank back, and your ownership stake gets a little bigger. The second punch is appreciation. This is when the housing market does its thing, and the value of your property goes up over time. It's those two things working together. You paying down debt while the market lifts your home's value that makes this whole thing such a powerful way to build wealth.
And if that wasn't good enough, the tax code gives homeowners some really incredible breaks. I think of them in two big buckets. First, you've got your yearly deductions. Things like your mortgage interest and property taxes might be deductible. But the second bucket, this is the big one for most people. The ability to sell your home and walk away with a huge profit completely tax-free. Generally, you just have to have lived in it as your main home for 2 of the last 5 years. Now, and this is super important, tax laws are complicated and they change, so you absolutely have to talk to a CPA to get advice for your specific situation.
And when I say that tax-free profit can be huge, I mean it. For a married couple filing their taxes together, we're talking up to $500,000. For a single person, it's $250,000. This is without a doubt one of the most powerful wealth-building tools available to the average person. It's a massive reason why a home can be such a fantastic investment.
Okay, so we've covered the dream and we've covered the investment, but now we have to talk about protecting it. And that brings us to our last section, the shield. Because when you own something this valuable, you also have to be smart about managing the risks that come with it. This is where your homeowner's insurance policy becomes your financial shield. It's not just a nice idea. Your mortgage lender is going to demand you have it, and for very good reason. It protects you from disasters that could wreck the house itself, like a fire or a nasty hailstorm. But it does more than that. It also covers your stuff inside the house, and this is a big one. It gives you liability coverage if someone, say, slips and gets hurt on your property. But here's the catch, and this is what trips up so many homeowners. A standard policy does not cover everything. Pay close attention to this not covered column. The two absolute giants are flooding and earthquakes. You need completely separate policies for those, like one from the National Flood Insurance Program. Your policy also won't cover things like termite damage, general wear and tear, or a slow leak that's been dripping for months. Knowing what's excluded is just as important as knowing what's included.
Which brings us to a really critical question. It's not just about having an insurance policy, it's about having the right amount of coverage. Because honestly, being underinsured can be almost as financially devastating as having no insurance at all.
And the reason why is something called the 80% coinsurance clause. It's baked into most policies. The best way to think about it is like a partnership agreement. Your insurance company is basically saying, listen, if you promise to insure your home for at least 80% of what it would cost to rebuild it today, we promise to have your back and fully cover any partial losses. But if you don't hold up your end of that bargain, well, they don't have to hold up theirs.
Let's see how this plays out with some real numbers. Let's say you do it right. You're properly insured for 80%, you have a big fire, and your policy pays out what it's supposed to. Great. But now look at that second row. You tried to save a little money on your premium, and you only insured for $100,000. Because you broke that 80% rule, the insurance company hits you with a penalty. So instead of even getting the $100,000 you thought you had, they pay out even less. And you're left with a staggering $75,000 gap to cover yourself. The bottom line is, when you're underinsured, you effectively become a co-insurer on your own disaster.
So when you pull it all together, you see that a home is this incredible mix of things, isn't it? It's the dream of having your own space, it's the investment that can set up your financial future, and it's the huge responsibility you have to protect that asset from everything that can go wrong.
So understanding those three pillars, the type of ownership, the financial power, and the protections you need, that's what it truly means to be a homeowner. The question now is, with this knowledge, what are the steps you're going to take to make sure your dream is built on the strongest foundation possible?